Oh man, I'm way too white for that. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Hope you're having a good weekend. I sure am, obviously. Yeah, it's a good time. I am happy to be back. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a live stream. And, I think a lot of that was basically, I took a break from drinking entirely for the past week. Nice little dry week. Every once in a while, it's a good thing to do. I think I'm going to make it a regular quarterly thing to get some inspiration from some other YouTube channels out there. Jack's back. Jack Attack, what's going on, my man? Dave says, go, go, go. Yeah, I was going for it, that's for sure. Yeah, so I took a break from drinking, took a week off. It's valuable. It's a good gut check for yourself to go, hey, how are we doing? Is this an issue or not? If it's not, good. If it is, you can address it at that time. It's easy to lose sight of things. So keeping track of yourself is valuable. Anyway, so I've been away for a little while. I'm back, just like Jack is in the chat. And I got a bunch of samples here that we're going to kill today. Well, we might not kill all of them. In fact, I very strongly suspect we will not kill all of them because I've got a bunch of them. Man, I'm sorry. I've got a bit of a cough today. I think it's acid reflux. I haven't really eaten dinner, unfortunately. I was frantically cooking, but just didn't get it done in time. So we're going to get nice and toasty on some... Nate says COVID. Let's hope not, my man. We're going to get nice and toasty on some whiskey. And then we're going to pound down some chicken breast and maybe some pasta if Yolanda makes it. If not, then I'm going to pound down some chicken breast.
What time is the stream supposed to be over?
She asked what time the stream's supposed to be over. I have no idea.
Well, if you give me a time, I can have dinner ready.
Just make it in your own time. I'll eat when it's ready.
Nope, you gotta tell me a time.
All right. I don't know. One thing I want to shout out. When should I have dinner, chat? Yolanda is not good at not talking when she can see me. Katie's hungry. Katie, thank you, by the way. I want to shout out Katie because I see she's here. I got these nice leaf napkins. Nate said I should eat while on the live stream at 9:40. And Jack also said I should eat on the stream. So apparently I'm eating on the live stream. That'll be so entertaining, you guys. You're going to love this. You're going to love watching me scarf down food. Anyway. Yeah, this is great. I got a little note on here from Katie. Katie Rush in Pennsylvania. Thank you very much. Oh, I can't read. Katie Ruth. I wrote down your name, Katie, so I wouldn't get it wrong. And I didn't read my own note, and I got it wrong anyway. Katie Ruth, thank you so much. Big shout out to Pennsylvania. Katie says slurp nudes. Oh boy. You guys are gonna love this. You're gonna love this stream. Oh, Katie says it's fine and then gave me the tear emoji. Yeah. All right, Jack's heading out. Anyway, Katie also, as I understand it, sent me this little tag for my plant that I was given. It says Plant Dad, and it's got the name of the plant. A moth orchid. That's what has been placed up here by my Booker's collection. So Katie hates her last name anyway. That's okay, Katie. You can change it. You can make up your own name. Anyway, so thank you, Katie. I will be using these napkins today. So let me break down what we're doing for the stream until I eat dinner, apparently, anyway. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm all over the place. I can't wait till moth orchid becomes a flavor note. It might. You never know. Oh, there was just a hint. There was a hint of flavor left in that glass. If you are a member of my Patreon, you know that before this stream, I did another stream where I drank some really tasty stuff. But that's not for now. That was for before. If you want to see it in the future, patreon.com/thedrinkpro. Oh, patreon.com/thedrinkpro. Shameless plug. Cheers for some water. Now, I've got a couple of samples from 3 different Indiana distilleries. And we're going to finish some of these samples. Now, I've received these samples from one of the clubs I've worked with in the past several times, and I hope to continue working with in the future. That's right, the Naptown Bourbon Club. Big shout out to Naptown. They have a lot of cool events. Naptown Bourbon Club. Check them out on Facebook. Check out their website. They're all over the place. They gave out some really cool samples for some events in the near future. And I didn't finish them at the events. So we're going to finish them now. 3 distilleries. And I'll probably just ask you guys in the chat which ones to do when. First, second, third. But the distilleries are Old 55, which is here in Indiana. They're actually all in Indiana, so I'll just say that right away. Old 55 Distillery, Huber's Starlight, and Hotel Tango. Those are the ones I have samples from. Now, I may throw in a taste of different things here and there along the way while we're talking about these flavors. If something reminds me of a different flavor, I might go run and grab the bottle and try it again, just to have a side-by-side. But that's the plan right now anyway. So, Old 55. You may remember this bottle. Old 55 is the distillery that I did my first barrel pick with. This is the only bottle I haven't delivered, by the way. I'm going to get this in the mail. You know who you are. I'm going to get this in the mail next week. I promise. I promise. I promise. Let's try not to break things off camera. But I've got a bunch of cool pours from them. I've got straight up corn whiskey. Now, this is their new make, essentially, just proof down to 80%. 80 proof, 40% alcohol. I wish they would just bottle their new make uncut because it's that damn good. If you ask Jason Fruits, who is the master distiller at Old 55, if he had one thing he could only one thing he makes that he could enter in a contest to say that's the best whiskey we got, he would say it's his barrel strength new make or off the still new make. So this is the corn whiskey at 80%, 80 proof, 40%. Then I got to kind of guess with some of these samples because I don't really remember exactly what SM means. I think it means single malt. So that's their 100% malt whiskey. And then this is SB, which I'm going to assume is single barrel. Then I've got BP, which I'm going to assume is barrel proof. And finally, this is the special one here. Sour mash. Could be sour mash. I don't remember, honestly, Matt. Hey, and by the way, Matt, was this pour bitter for you? Let me know how bitter this pour was because I just did a tasting of it in the Patreon live stream and it was very bitter. And I don't know if that's a function of just the pick or the heat or what's going on with that. But and also while I'm talking to Matt specifically, sorry everyone else in the stream, Matt, I've got another one of these picks. You had mentioned wanting to buy another one. I'm willing to sell you mine at cost if you're interested. So hit me up. Anyway, this is a special one. SC Sweet Corn. One of the few distilleries making a sweet corn whiskey. I think the only one making something out of 100% sweet corn because it's very expensive. But we're going to run through those right now. I just bombarded Matt, so he's trying to orient himself. As soon as he entered the chat, I'm like, let me tell you some stuff. I'm going to start with the corn whiskey because it's lowest proof and it's new make. Are these 2-ounce bottles? I think these are 1-ounce bottles. Yeah. So these are 1-ounce bottles, which is good because I don't really want to drink 1.5 ounces of new make right now. So that's probably 3/4 of an ounce. It'll be good. Now I do know how good the new make is from Old 55, so I'm not worried about it. Oh God, it smells so good, guys. It's like cornbread. It's like sweet, fresh, homemade cornbread with butter. Those are notes you don't get out of White Lightning, is what I always called it. I mean, I've unfortunately never had the chance to taste their, White Dog, another name for new make, bunch of different names for new make. Never had a chance to taste their White Dog uncut, but just proof down to 80 proof, it's still like, yeah, you get the corn, but it's so buttery and sweet and just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful note. I'm trying to think if I can pull anything else out of this. I definitely get some vanilla. Oh boy, the spilling continues. Thank you for these napkins, Katie, because I'm continuing to make a mess. Hold on, maybe I'll just do this. Maybe I'll just get myself ready for the pasta later. Matt asks how that special blend of MGP is. I'll probably taste that in a bit on this live stream for you, Matt. And we'll talk about that more for everybody else in the chat once we get there. Definitely worth checking out. Yolanda's bringing me something.
Since you're making me turn it into meat sauce, it's the spaghetti sauce.
This is homemade spaghetti sauce.
From homegrown tomatoes.
Spaghetti.
From
homegrown tomatoes. This is Nana's recipe. Nona. It's an old recipe from the old country. We're gonna let that cool a little bit because it's quite hot, and drink this corn whiskey. Usually you think of new make, you think about that like sharp, almost metallic. But this is not at all. This is sweet, maybe even citrusy. Just a beautiful whiskey. All right, let's taste it. See, it's a little dangerous to do what I did, which is have pours before coming into this live stream because this is 80 proof. Look at the legs on that. Look at the legs on that. See how much is sticking to the glass? Look at that right there. I'm not a big legs person. Legs, for those of you who don't know, is just like how much the whiskey sticks to the sides of the glass. It's basically a viscosity measure. This is 80 proof, and it's way viscous. 80 proof stuff is not this viscous. That's crazy. You get a little bit of that corn, a little bit of bitterness, but just a touch. Then you get the super sweet, dusty corn flavor. Ooh. There's almost like an herbal nuttiness. Yeah, Nate points out. I wasn't going to share this to everyone, but yeah, Nate correctly points out that this is what I was drinking before I went into the corn whiskey. And I gotta say, the fact that this even tastes at all palatable compared to the 2019 George T. Stagg, huge compliment to Old 55. That's absurd. First off, this is 30 proof lower. More than that, almost 40 proof lower. Second off, no age versus, I think, 10 years, 8 to 10 years. And, huge price difference. It's just there's no reason this should ever be. This should taste like garbage compared to that. And it doesn't. And that tells you everything you need to know. So one of the things they do at Old 55 that I think is the reason this is good, not just palatable, not just, something I can actually choke down, but it's good. Jason at Old 55 makes very sharp cuts. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, when you are distilling, let me, hold on, pause for some ASMR. when you're distilling, there's a process to remove the bad flavors, the bad parts of the whiskey, the alcohol. Whiskey so a still basically pushes the liquor or the alcohol parts into a column or into the lip of a pot still, and it comes out but it comes out at different temperatures. So if your temperature is like 140 or low, any of those low temperatures, it's actually wood alcohol, which is commonly known as methanol, which is poison. So you got to make sure you cut off those heads, is what they're called. Got to cut off the heads. After that, you get a higher temperature. You start to get to the part that's the good stuff, what you want to age, what you want to drink. That's called the heart. Then the highest temperature, the alcohols that come out at the absolute top of your scale in terms of your heat and the max you get down to the still, are called the tails. And that's often where a lot of bitter, unpleasant flavors come from. They're not poison like the heads. I tore my napkin. But they're not tasty at all. So I feel fancy, even though I feel like it also looks kind of dumb. Anyway, so Jason at L55 cuts very narrowly. Instead of trying to maximize product and getting some heads and some tails in there, he cuts just the narrowest parts to get just the heart of the heart. And that results in a really good corn whiskey and really good, consistent, tasty, regular release whiskey, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and try this homemade pasta sauce. It smells really good. Oh, man. Wow. Wow. That's really fucking good. I may... It's going to be hard to go back to canned sauce after that, guys. I'm going to have to get in there good, like, be really shameless with this. You guys want to see it? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Part of the reason it's this orange color, I think, is because we use some yellow tomatoes. Damn, that's good. Wow. Well, that makes me very excited about this meal that's coming. Yep. Trevor notes that he has the pick that I did. And he has a pick from Gay's liquor store, northeast side of Indiana. Jason's making good stuff. He really is. All right, let's go ahead and move to... I'm going to go ahead and do single barrel first, and then I'm going to go back to the single malt. Because I want to stick in the corn whiskey world. I want to go from the corn to now what is it like once you put some age on it. Again, half-ounce pours. Somebody keep track for me. Jack's back. Jack Attack is back in. Glad to have you, my man. Sound off in the chat if you haven't already. I'd love to know who's here. I'd love to know what you're up to. Love to know if you had a good weekend. Love to know what your favorite pour is. I'd love to know what your social security number is. I'd like to know the 16 digits of your your highest credit line credit card. Yes, I do, Yolanda. I want meat. I like meat. You don't have to make it a meat sauce. You can put meat on, like make meatballs, but I feel like it should be a meat sauce. There's got to be meat in it. Got to go meat. I'm a carnivore. Good question, Dave. How much was the Gates pick going for? Oh, it's so good. Why is it so good? All right. Dusty corn is the first note, which, you know what? I may have to go get some mellow corn because I just found out that I think my mellow corn recipe might have been wrong or out of date or something. When I made my mellow corn video, I said that mellow corn was 90% corn and 10% other stuff. It's not. It is 80% corn, 12%. I want to get this right. I think it's 80% corn, 12% barley, and 8% rye. I think it's posted on the Heaven Hill website. When they go, if you go to the Heaven Hill website, you look at their different mash bills. Yeah, Yellowstone's definitely got that dusty corn too. I will see if I agree, but I'm not going to open it right now. My bottle is unopened. I'm going to keep it that way because I've got too many opens. And I've opened more. I got way too many opens. I don't usually care that much, but I got a bunch of them that are like open and more than half empty. I usually try to keep them between half and full in terms of my open bottles, and then kind of more aggressively finish the bottles that are less than half full. Part of the reasoning there is once a bottle is more than half empty, it deteriorates quicker. It loses a lot of what it was. Unless it's the bottle I don't really care for as it is and I want it to change, I want to keep enjoying it while it's still fresh. But yeah, I may need to get that dusty corn. I know Yolanda's making me dinner. If she could bring me the bottle of dusty corn or mellow corn, dusty corn. Yolanda, if you can hear me, if you can bring me the bottle of mellow corn that's in the top left cabinet in the liquor area, it'd be really wonderful. It would be super swell of you.
You gotta come get it.
All right. Thank you, baby. Bam.
Thank you for telling me where.
Let's do a little side-by-side, shall we? Bust out another one of these Drink Pro glasses. I still got maybe a dozen, maybe 10 for sale. Get them while they last, people. Not a lot left. Let's put a wee touch, just a wee touch of the mellow, the corn of mellow. That old corn note is one that is not for everybody, Trevor, but I like it. Don't drink mellow corn. All right, so let me do a side by side here. Let's talk about it. Mellow corn. So first off, right off the bat, I don't remember what the proof is on the single barrel. It's not the barrel proof. It's lower proof than that, but it's way more interesting. The corn is more prominent. The dust is far more prominent. It's really a dusty corn instead of just like a softly generic, sweet hint of caramel, hint of vanilla corn. This is way more barn-like. Tab25, a friend of the show who sometimes joins these chats, he tasted this whiskey and he said that it reminded him of a barn, and I totally get that. I totally get that. Yeah, the sweetness on this is honey. I can hear myself off in the distance. I think Yolanda's watching the stream while she's making the dinner. And it's kind of crazy because I hear what I'm saying like a couple of seconds later. It's freaking me out. Drink Pro glasses. Good question, Jack. So I've got, it depends on if you need them shipped or not. If you want them shipped, you can get 2 glasses for, make sure I get this right for you. 2 glasses for $35 shipped, and that's shipped anywhere. Now, I know you're probably going to be relatively close. Nate said if you send Kyle 10 samples, they are free. I know you're relatively close, so if you don't want to do shipping and we want to meet up somewhere in Indianapolis, that's doable as well. We can do a meetup, and I can sell them without the shipping. That pricing, I'd have to double check for you. You can reach out to me, private message or whatever, but I think it's 25, but I have to double check. So, Jack, if you want to reach out to me, The Drink Pro, THEDRINKPRO @gmail.com. Shoot me an email, and we can get this done so you can have a couple of these glasses. I'm happy to find a way to make it work, man. That's my sales pitch. Enough selling. Let's get to drinking. I was worried that I wouldn't know which glass was which, and as soon as I smelled this one, I knew which one it was. That is Prominent Dusty Beauty. This is kind of boring. It's more like a standard, uninteresting, not complex, a simple whiskey. But I mean, it's good. It's a little citrusy, vanilla, caramel. Yeah, it just tastes kind of like regular ass whiskey. That's what I would get from Corn. A little bit of corn, a little bit of dustiness, but it's mostly just regular ass whiskey. This, on the other hand, couldn't be further from that. Yeah, you really get that earthy, dry. No, it's not dry. It's earthy. It's a hint of dust. I get a little bit of leather, like a saddle. Look at all these samples. I'm thinking to make this feasible, I may have to just taste all of them and not try to do sample kills on everything. Just sample kill the nearly empty ones. Because some of these are quite full. Like this is easy to kill, but this much barrel proof whiskey is a little harder. So I'm gonna put this mellow corn sample over there. Yeah, that's so interesting. A little floral, actually. I get a little bit of sort of a herbal floral component happening here. It's cool stuff. One of the reasons I wanted to do this live stream, I'll tell you guys now. I really like a lot of the things coming out of Indiana distilleries. I think they don't get enough love, frankly. When people think of Indiana distilling, Josh, we can make that happen, my man. Just hit me up, Facebook, YouTube, email, however you can. I can sell you 4 of those glasses, no problem, Josh. Perfect. I'll reach out to you after the live stream, probably tomorrow. But we'll make it happen. If I really wanted to be shameless, which I kind of do, I could just say, if you Venmo me at ThinkFletch, we don't even have to have a conversation. Just send me that in a fucking email or a mailing address, and we're done. We can have a conversation on email. That's fine. All right. This is delicious. I really like this, but it's hard to give good notes because it's so foreign. Makes Matt pick up. So for local pickup, Josh, it's 24 for 2 glasses. So that would make it, wait, did I say 24 or 25? Fuck. Thank you. Yolanda helped me. I said 25. So it's 50 for 4 glasses. Yeah, if Matt's picking them up, that's the cost. Shipped, it'd be 80. No. God, math is hard. Shipped, it would be 70.
Says the tax lawyer.
Well, I don't have to do a lot of... Okay, Josh says 50 done. That's good, Josh. Oh, man, you guys should see what's coming in here right now.
I'm a little early, Nate. I apologize for being ahead of your schedule, but here you go.
Look at this. Oh, man. Guys, I am pumped about this. I am so hungry. And I'm getting filled up with whiskey. So we're going to take a little dinner break. Oh, man. I don't know how to make this into content. I'm just gonna eat. A bit more sauce. Can I have more sauce? Okay. Sorry for shouting. She can hear me, even though I'm not shouting because she's listening to the stream. But, you know.
Yeah, you could have just said it normally.
Oh, man. Okay, I got to hand that off. Hold on. It's so good. So good. Next time I get a get-together. See, that's the thing. Like, the whole point of making homemade sauce is, like, you share it with a big group of like your big family. Trevor and Nate and myself had all gotten together. Thank you.
You need to save the recipe.
Yeah, we will. Trevor, Nate, and I all got together not too long ago, and we sampled a lot of whiskey. And yeah, we when they visited, we ended up getting McDonald's late night. I think part of the reason, Trevor, is that I had planned on cooking guys steaks, but we just went too hard, too early. Didn't get those steaks cooked. It's unfortunate. So this is really bad form, not just because eating on camera is bad form, but food affects how you perceive drinks. And so, Nate's way too happy about this. It really is, Josh. Like, holy shit, this is so good. Homemade spaghetti sauce. Listen, I'm a skeptic at heart. I don't usually believe that things are going to be so good, like they're going to kick the ass of like the store-made stuff. Not even close. This wins all damn day. Oh. But, yeah, it's kind of bad form. Like I said, not really because, I mean, it is bad form because you're watching me eat on camera. It's not really what people came for, except for Nate, apparently, who's way too excited about me eating on camera. But it will affect the flavors I get in these whiskeys. Oh, yeah.
It's because watching you eat is a performance of itself.
Yolanda's very commentary heavy today.
That's not true. There have been plenty of live streams where I've talked a lot more.
I'm just biting my tongue. Anyway, so Nate says Yolanda knows you're eating his damn event. Josh says, yeah, Matt and I love smoking for groups. Yeah. If I had a smoker, I would definitely be there for you, man. I'm about that. I'm about that for sure. Well, tell you what, Matt. Josh. I'll tell you what, Josh. You and Matt get together, smoke some meat, and I'll come over. And then next time, I'll make you guys some homemade pasta sauce, spaghetti and meat sauce style. That's a good trade. People are running away from this stream. I'm just watching the numbers go down. But I don't even care. Usually I would care. I don't care right now. It's too good. I'll take you up on that, Nate. Sounds like a good thing to do this fall. This is, what am I even drinking? This is the single malt. 100% malt. Oh, it's good. I like that smell. I love that. Oh, it's good. Oh. So it's got that same dustiness. That's really a signature. Oh, man. Good old Dan. Good old heavy bourbon. Dan Kidd. He's a hell of a dude. I bet he's seen some serious meat coming out of y'all's steak night. So I'm excited, man. We'll have to make it happen. Matter of fact, I got a fun video while we're talking about Matt. Good question, Jack. I don't typically do them one glass at a time just because the shipping gets kind of expensive. If you want to do pickup on one glass, you could do it for be $12.50. But I could figure out what it would be shipped, and what I would just do is just do $12.50 plus some additional shipping costs. Just maybe give you real ship costs, although I haven't typically been doing that. Well, we can figure something out. Just send me an email, Jack, and we'll make it happen. Josh said they were all together Friday night. I actually had a conversation with Dan. I'll kind of parlay a little bit in this. I'm going to take a sip of the single malt because it smells delicious. God, it's so good. It's got all the things you want from a single malt, like a Scotch-style single malt, but it doesn't have that salty brininess that often turns people off to Scotch. And you still have that interesting, dusty barn kind of quality, which sounds like it would be bad, but it's really not. It's really good in this presentation. But it mixes with that really malty sweetness, which is a very different sweetness from the corn sweetness. Man, that's good stuff. Anyway, so I had a phone call with Dan Kidd, in part because Dan, as I'm sure you know, Josh, is bringing out his own line of whiskey through the Krogman's brand, which is a Big Red Liquors brand. They're doing a 2 o'clock chug whiskey bottling. Well, Matt reached out to me from Big Red Liquors about doing my own bottling of whiskey, Drink Pro branded whiskey. We're still in conversation about it. I'm very interested, but I am very focused on the flavor and the quality of the palate. I told Matt, I think almost verbatim, that I don't want to put my face and name on a bottle that I wouldn't enjoy drinking if my face and name weren't on the bottle. I care about the product inside almost more than anything else, more than having my face on a bottle, frankly. So if you see that come out, then I can guarantee you it's a good product, because I won't let it come out if it's not a good product. But I think it's really exciting. I love the opportunity to, put my name and face on a bottle. It's really cool. But parlaying back to talking about Dan Kidd, he and I are going to be doing a whiskey pairing with cookies. Dan's got a friend who makes some really nice custom cookies that sound delicious. And I actually had one. It was really, really good. So we're going to do some fun whiskey pairings with cookies. I think it'll be a good time. Yeah, I would love it if it was very fruity, Nate. That's true. Dad, my face with Katie's napkins. Thanks, Katie. Damn. I know you're not supposed to talk with your mouth full, but it's really hard for me to shut up in general. So I'm just going to do this. I think they do this in Japan. It's really rude for you to be able to see an open smile on a woman's mouth. Really sexist, but whatever. But, yeah, Yeah, Josh and Dan have been talking, apparently. So, yeah, they're going to do an event. And I expect I will do a similar event at a liquor store. And it was sort of told that they were not allowed to open the whiskey or do whiskey chugs on the property. And my response to that is, then we will leave the fucking property and go across the street and go chug over there. Because what the fuck are they going to do? We're not on the property, motherfucker. Good spaghetti. Hope there are any kids watching. If you let your kids watch this, that's a mistake. I was kind of going in my mind like, I probably shouldn't swear like that. And then I kind of went, wait a minute, I'm doing a whiskey tasting. Well, right now I'm eating spaghetti, but I'm doing a whiskey tasting. Like, why do I give a shit if somebody swears? There you go, Josh. I like that. Well, you know what, Josh? I actually am a licensed attorney in Indiana, so. Oh, Nate says Harpster is beside me. Hey, Mike, I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. Mike's a good dude. Mike's got um, a good palate, I can tell you that. He's made some really interesting videos with some wonderful coffees, and that he sent me some great samples of coffee. That's a video that's coming out soon, by the way. Just some beautiful, wonderful samples of coffee. You'd be surprised how similar a coffee tasting is to a whiskey tasting. There's a lot more that goes into the process because making a coffee cupping is very labor intensive and very specific. It's harder to standardize because you're doing the brewing. Whereas with this stuff, it just pour out of the bottle into the same glass. But some really cool flavors. Anyway. Yeah, sorry for shitting all over you, Nate. This single malt's great. Oh, no way! Oh! Oh my God. Two, I'm gonna tell you. So, I took a drink of the single malt way too fast and immediately shoved spaghetti in my mouth. And when I combined them, it gave me this like bright fruity flavor, which is weird. Not really what you want from spaghetti, but it was so different. It's so different than anything in either of the. It's not in the spaghetti at all. It's not in the whiskey at all. That was crazy. I gotta try that again. I gotta see if that happens again. Yeah, there it is. That's so weird. That's crazy, guys. It's like tomatoes are a fruit. I was commenting to Yolanda while I was peeling tomatoes, and she was de-seeding them, that dealing with tomatoes in that context really made you realize tomato was a fruit. But you don't think about it like that. You think about it like a vegetable, even though you know it's technically a fruit, and you're like, whatever. You're not going to put tomatoes in a fruit salad, but it's a fruity flavor. You're right. That acidity, that sweetness. When I added that single malt on top, all that malty sweetness came through. And it juxtaposed against that tomato sweetness. Oh, that's so cool. We're discovering stuff, guys. It's it's going to be a good day when you're discovering stuff. Was ever a question about me being classy? Here's your answer. I don't think there was, but All right, what's next on the list here? Trevor says he hasn't let his daughter watch the Drink Pro yet. Probably a good decision. Nate said, spaghetti on camera and a gallon of water. You exude class. Yes, clearly. I am the epitome of high society. I can't believe they let me be a lawyer. Yolanda says she knows I have glasses in there. I have a glass in here. But isn't it more fun to drink right out of the gallon jug? Come on. Let me take a big ass bite. Look at this shit. Here we go. Oh, too big. Too big. All right. Let's go ahead. I just realized my mom watches these. She's going to hate this. I'm really glad. Again, big shout out to Katie for these napkins. They're coming in real handy right now. feel like a geisha or something. Hide my mouth. God, this is a mess. Let's go ahead and try the barrel proof. Although, you know what? No. I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to go for the sweet corn. This is a very unique product, as I mentioned before. It's 100% sweet corn whiskey. Jack asked, how late do I stream? It really depends on how drunk I get, and if I start saying things I shouldn't, then I get off the stream very quickly. That doesn't usually happen. That's mostly a joke. It's like 85% a joke. I kind of just stream until I'm done. That's why Yolanda asked earlier. She was like, well, when is this going to be over? I'm like, I don't know. Thankfully, Nate, in his infinite wisdom, said, let's go ahead and eat on camera. Mike said, bourbon food pairings, whole episode. I really could do. I could do a whole episode on it. Matter of fact, I don't know if you heard this before, Mike, but I'm going to be doing an episode with Dan Kidd at Heavy Bourbon on Instagram, where we're going to pair whiskeys with different, I guess I would call them small batch cookies that are being made by a friend of Dan's. So that should be pretty fun. That's true. Yolanda makes a very good point. How long I stream is very much dependent on how active the chat is, because at a certain point I run out of things to yammer about. And that's often when it goes to directions I don't want to go. Like, I try not to talk about politics. I try not to talk about religion. And I have strong opinions about all that stuff. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. That's not what this is about. So you know, keep talking in the chat about other things. I'd be up for that, Nate. We can make that happen. All right. Sweet corn. Yeah. Pop. Ooh. Tell you what, it's super weird. Josh says it gets funnier the longer you drink. This is, I will say that's often true, not always true. I have seen it turn from funny to sad very quickly, and I am very sensitive to that, so I try to avoid that. Man, that's so good. It's so good. Oh. You know what it is? With spaghetti sauce out of the jar, you're usually going to have one or two flavors that are really prominent. And that's just because they design it that way. By the way, this is also proof that you don't have to move your mask to talk. I see a lot of people do that, and I'm just like, why? I can hear you. If you're like in customer service and you're behind like plexiglass and it's like you're mumbling, then I get it. Okay, I can't hear you. But like, I see attorneys that like normally talk louder. Oh, that's great. Great for the camera, spitting food. I see attorneys that normally talk louder than I do that are like feel the need to move their mask to talk. It's like, bro, I can hear you. Anyway, personal pet peeve. Let's get moving. The sweet corn. Jason Fruit said, Master Distiller at Old 55, that he thought of this more like a brandy. I gotta say, I see what he means on the nose. It's got a very like pear brandy kind of vibe, like fruit brandy. Very pear. This is not a note I get a lot. I get a lot of pear on this. Jack's throwing out some questions. My top 3 NFL teams besides the Colts. I don't know if people heard this before, but I'm a big NFL fan, big Colts fan. They kind of did not do great today, but, you know, whatever. And I'd also talk about moving these streams because I know that it kind of coincides with Sunday Night Football. If that bothers people, I might move them. If it doesn't, I might not. It's just about viewership. If I can get more people to watch this on a Tuesday, I'll do it on a Tuesday. Oh, man, we're getting the chat going now with that one. Jack's stirring the pot. Oh, this is crazy. I get a weediness in that pear. I get like a pear skins. Is that weird? It's like It's like the what you've peeled off the pear. It's not as sweet as the pear flesh. Whoa. Yeah, it's got almost like a tannin note, like a brandy. Fruit sweetness and this tannin note. It's interesting. A little insider info. When I went to the distillery to do my barrel pick, they let me try on the DL. They let me try the barrel strength version of that sweet corn. It's way better. It's way better. Just more complex. I think that's an 80, maybe 100 proof, but it's just way more complex. And like that's what you want. If you're gonna have something that's like pear brandy, it should be complex. That's true, Trevor. Jason Jason ages his barrels underground. I believe it's actually an old schoolhouse, but I'm not certain about that. Big moldy basement. Very humid. One of the reasons that his barrels tend to go up in proof instead of down, which is what you'd expect. Basement is so humid, water actually gets pulled out of the barrels, which is not something I knew could happen. But it can, and it does. All right. Let's go ahead and pivot. Let's go to Starlight. Now, unfortunately, I said Jason's name a lot. He's kind of the face of the brand at Old 55. I don't remember all three of the people who sort of are the faces of Huber's Starlight Distillery. But I will tell you, they are making amazing whiskey. Amazing. So I got that one, and that one.
The street froze. Also, where's the dog?
I don't know.
The dog food.
I don't know. The stream, is it still frozen?
No.
Is it? I mean, I would check in the back for the dog food. Yolanda's asking me about the dog food.
Put it on top of the fridge.
Did you not get it? So, anyway, Huber's is making great stuff. Starlight's making great stuff. It's so good, guys. I'm just gonna shamelessly. All right. Y'all just watched me eat a plate of spaghetti. How about that? This is what you came for. I'm just kind of ignoring all the team chat in the chat because I don't know if I've got more NFL teams than just the Colts. Like, I was born in Indiana. I grew up on the Colts. I've been watching the Colts since before Peyton Manning, back when we were terrible. Maybe terrible again. Yeah, Trevor notes that the only thing he's seen from Starlight is some blackberry whiskey at Meyer. That's what a lot of people have seen. But they make some really good stuff other than that. They also make some bourbon and some rye, which I've got here. Oh, indigestion. This is the single barrel bourbon. This is their rye whiskey. This is a double oaked version. My connection's unstable. Did it freeze again? Thank you, baby.
It's still streaming though.
It sounds like my connection is kind of spotty. Sometimes I'm freezing. Don't love that, but what are you gonna do? the show must go on. So now that I've devoured a plate of spaghetti for you on camera, let's go ahead and try this single barrel. I might skip over this rye. At this point, I think sample killing all of these would be irresponsible. So, gonna make some decisions. Oh God, it smells so good. This bourbon, I mean, this is just a classic bourbon, guys. Now, Starlight does these single barrel picks internally, and they have 3 different people that pick. And it's actually on the labels who's picking them. So you can start to learn whose profile you like, whose profile you agree with, and follow them. Because a lot of their single barrel stuff is not being store picked, although they do have some store picks, but they also have internal single barrel picks. I think that's a fun feature that, you know, gives you more information about what the single barrel is that's on the shelf. Typically, you're not going to get that kind of information, palate notes, for a single barrel on the shelf, unless it's a store pick. So let me give you some more info about this. And by info, I mean notes. First off, you get a lot of vanilla. I get some butterscotch. I get some black pepper on the nose. Ooh, kind of a lot. It was almost a sneeze. Almost. A little bit of cinnamon. Oh, some sweet tobacco, which I like. Not a note I get a lot, honestly, but I like it. Hint of cocoa. Not a lot of fruit on this. Usually I prefer fruitier whiskeys, which I think either Trevor or Nate noted above in the chat. And they're right. I typically do. But when it smells like sweet Christmas, it doesn't have to be fruity. It's got all this beautiful baking spice and sweetness. It's beautiful. If I get any kind of like fruit note, it's like a dried apricot, maybe like a raisin. It's like a dried fruit. So it's kind of like fruit cakey. I get like cinnamon raisin bread. Oh, you know what it get? I got it. It's bread pudding. You get bread pudding. All right. Let's go ahead and taste it. Oh. That's dangerous how good that is. My only complaint is I get a touch of bitterness on the back of the throat. But it's just a touch. And it's such a good pour that it's good stuff. Let me give you some notes on it. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Jack asked if I like the Cheesecake Factory. Haven't been there very often. I've been there a couple times and I liked it when I went there, but I don't go there. I typically try to go places that are family owned, like small businesses that like I know a couple people that opened a restaurant. Just because there's a lot of that near me, very close to me. So, and the Cheesecake Factory is not near me at all. So I don't go there very often, but I do like what I've had. Which one do you go to, Jack? Because I don't know where there is one in India. I know that there's one on the south side, in Greenwood. I know there was one on the north side in like Carmel, Castleton area. So I'm curious where you go. That's true. Yolanda points out that we had neither Yolanda or I had eaten at a Longhorn Steakhouse in a long time, maybe ever. We had a really good experience recently. Just, it was nearby where we needed to be. So we just popped in for a quick lunch and solid. They perfectly cooked the chicken. Perfect. It was moist. It was juicy. It was lightly breaded. Great sauce. Perfect cooked chicken. Makes a big difference. You cook your chicken well, there's an hour. There's an hour of me eating food and talking about food. Man, I'll get hungry again. Shit. Let's drink this. Let's drink this fucking Starlight. A little bit of bitter cocoa. Oh, vanilla, caramel. Love those sweet aromatics. Oh shoot, more bitter chocolate. What's this? Oh, I've been given more food. Jack, I think Jack's gonna cut out here in a minute. Chicken. I'm okay with this. Although it's cold, I don't have any knife, but I'm gonna eat it anyway. I'm not above that. Whoa! I'm gonna try not to flip my table over. I gotta get a real table. This is unacceptable. Right now, the camera. So what I have is Jack. This has got 20 minutes. Hang on, Jack. I've got a dual level keyboard stand, and on the top level, I've got a box that a keyboard I bought, not like a musical keyboard, which is what the stand is, but like a typing keyboard. A box I bought a keyboard in is on the high level stand, which then has a shoebox on top of it, which then has my laptop on top of that, which is where you are. And then below, I have a plank with all my barrels or all my bottles, my sample bottles, my regular bottles from the Patreon stream, my notes, my tasting wheel, some water, my napkins, my chicken. A high dollar operation over here. Chicken turned out all right. Not my best chicken, but nice. That's cool, Jack. All right. Did I give you guys notes about this single barrel at all? I feel like I did. Interestingly, the chicken doesn't change this very much. That's kind of cool. The spaghetti really changed some of the flavors, but the chicken flavor is relatively pure. I didn't like really zhuzh up this chicken. I just put on some seasoning, basic seasoning, grilled it, called it a day. It's good, but it's simple. It's meant to sort of be like a base upon which I can build anything. Weeknight dinner kind of vibe. Throw it with mashed potatoes and gravy. I can put it in, pasta. I can put it with a stir-fried veggie and do whatever with it. I was thinking about pulling something out, but I've got too many open samples that need to be killed, so we're gonna exercise some self-control. Double oaked. This was a particular single barrel, all again internal. This was not a decision by a distributor or a liquor store, which is what I like about it. I like that they're willing to experiment. Sounds good, Jack. Appreciate it, man. You have a good one. This is this was internal experimentation to get to this double oak process. No one told them to do it. No one put it in an order. Not a liquor store, not a distributor, just them, 3 people, family, hanging out, changing things around. Let me rinse this glass out. And I'm going to rinse my mouth out while I'm at it. It's important. Keep a clean palate. Yeah. Trevor says Yolanda keeps giving you food we can stream all night. Better be careful what you wish for, Trevor. You got to be careful. refreshing. Okay, let's dig into this double oaked. Get every drop of water out. Okay. For those of you who haven't had a double oaked product before, let me give you some thoughts on it. Double oaked products, generally speaking, make a regular whiskey, take it out of its aged barrel, then put it in a fresh barrel. So with bourbon, it's going to be normally you take a brand new barrel, you char it up good with a flame, and it's going to be nice and blackened on the inside. You put regular bourbon white dog in there. The whiskey will go in and out of the wood, and because of the char, it will have caramelized flavors. It'll get sweet in a caramel, vanilla kind of way. And eventually, it'll keep going into that wood and pull out more oak and less of that caramelization. When you move it from an old barrel that's already been in for a while into a brand new barrel that's just recently been charred, you're at essentially, the way I think about it is you're doubling down on those early caramelized char flavors. So you're sort of intentionally directing the flavor profile more towards that and away from the oak. So you're going to get an older bourbon with less wood flavor in the astringent, the dry, the bitter sense, and more in a sweet, almost chocolatey sense, which I really like. Some people do not like this. Depends on who you ask. But I think this just smells lovely. This is just, it reminds me a lot of Old Forester 1910. We should do it. We should do a side-by-side with Old Forester 1910. That was too much. That was too big a bite. Yolanda's walking the dog. She can't. Oh, wait. I have it right here. I can grab the OF 1910. It's close. Oh, way too much. I recently reorganized my shelves with the intention of putting all my whiskey in one place. Instead, I now have little pockets all over the house with different distributors and different distillers. All this up here is Sazerac. Down here is all Bardstown. And then below that is not Kentucky whiskey, but American whiskey. Below that is Scotch and Irish and international whiskey. I got a drawer over there that's just for my patrons who I buy bottles for. The highest level. Second highest level. If you pay real money, I can come out and visit you, but no one's doing that yet. Next level is Old Forester and New Riff. And then I got one in the other room that's Wild Turkey. And then I got another one in the old room that's the other room is Daily Drinkers. I'm still chewing that one bite. That's crazy. That was too much chicken. Let's pour this out. Right over my laptop. Sexy. Now, I don't remember the price point on OF 1910. I do know that it's pretty darn close to the double oak from Starlight, which I believe is 50 or 55. Okay. So, very similar. With the Starlight, the 1910 has a little bit more caramel little bit more vanilla. The Starlight's a lot more grain forward. It's almost certainly younger. I don't actually know what the age is on these 1910s, but it's almost certainly younger coming out of Starlight. So it's a lot more grain forward, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some people really don't like that grain flavor in whiskeys. I don't necessarily mind it. If it's done right, if it's done in a good way, I'm happy to have a grain flavor in a whiskey. But right now we're just talking about the nose. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a lot more like caramel toffee, Werther's Original Sweet on the 1910. Doing the side-by-side, the Starlight is almost all grain, but it's so much younger. This is a tall order. I got chicken in my teeth. God dang it. Losing people. Oh, they're back. All right, let's try this. Now, see, I really like that. If you like young whiskey, this is an awesome choice because it has that bright, sweet grain component, corn component of a young whiskey. Nate said try it next to the toasted barrel. I don't know where that sample is right now, my man, but that might be a thing I do in the future. Oh wait, did you mean the Starlight next to the toasted barrel? I may have to do that later. I don't know. I don't know where that barrel is, that bottle is. I don't want to like wander off and rummage around and leave you guys just hanging here. Maybe when Yolanda can hear me again, assuming she comes back to the stream, she could grab that for me. But that's a taller order because I don't know right where that is. The mellow corn, I knew right where it was. I could just tell her. But anyway. I know you did, Nate. I think that 1910 is going to beat it, guys. So here's the thing. The 1910 is sweeter, no question. It's got more of that candied, sweet, aromatic. Trevor had to restart. Well, Trevor, right now I'm doing a side-by-side of the Old Forester 1910 and the Starlight Double Oaked. Oh, Yolanda has brought the toasted oak. Thank you, baby.
I'm leaving the dog in here.
Okay. We're going to have a new friend. Now, I'm going to do a separate video in the near future of the toasted oak because it's a hot commodity right now. But we're just going to do a little nip for a side-by-side. Toasted oak. Toasted barrel, Elijah Craig. The double oaked is it's got more cherry. It's way darker. It's got like more of a molasses sweetness. Whereas the Elijah Craig toasted barrel is a lot more soft, gentle sweetness. A lot more caramel. I get more like a toffee molasses on the 1910. The toasted barrel Elijah Craig is a lot more like caramel sweet. Oh my gosh! Going back to that Starlight, it's a totally different world. It's so grainy. It doesn't even taste like the same kind of product. corn, sweetness, maltiness, a little bit of bitterness. Definitely get that double oaked, malted, almost chocolatey note, mid-palate finish. Whoa. Okay, so after smelling and tasting the Starlight and then just smelling the Elijah Craig Toasted, I get this really unpleasant medicinal cherry, this cough syrup. I go to the 1910, I get a little bit of bitterness on the back end of the smell, but that cough syrup note isn't there. It's harsher, but in a good way on the 1910. But that medicinal cherry goes away unless you revisit this. Man, it almost smells like corn on the cob. Yeah, Nate, I think it is. I think the age is really the big difference here. I don't know how old that Starlight Double Oaked is, but it ain't as old as these. That's for damn sure. All right, let's try the Toasted Barrel. I mean, see, here's my problem with this. And, like I said, I'm going to do a whole review on the Toasted Barrel in the future, so I'm not going to go into it too far right here. But Toasted Barrel Elijah Craig feels like they wanted to make Old Forester 1910 light. Old Forester 1910, unabashedly bright and sweet and in your face. And then it transitions hard into that chocolatiness, and there's this unfiltered bitter component in the mid-palate finish. It's bombastic. It's aggressive. It's everything that this wishes it was. The Elijah Craig is just not the same. The Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel tastes like Elijah Craig. Oh, no. Oh, it's not good. Not good. Interestingly, when I bounce between the Starlight Double Oaked and the 1910, I really like the Starlight and the 1910 just for different reasons. But the Double Oaked, the Double Oaked Starlight and the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel clash hard. And when I smelled both of them back to back, I strongly preferred the smell of the Starlight. I got this weird medicinal cherry on the Elijah Craig. When I tasted them back to back, you all right? Yolanda had a very sour face. I can't see it from here. She must have done something to her hand. Ooh, she got herself with a rail. I don't think it's not ER level, but it's not good. What was I saying? Oh, when I tasted the Starlight back to back with the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, the Elijah Craig just tasted like Elijah Craig with a little bit of oomph at the end. The 1910 tasted like a whole other venture, way different from regular Old Forester. The Starlight tasted not good. Mike, I know you wanted me to do the Maker's 46, but I don't have Maker's 46. I've been meaning to get the Maker's 46 cast strength. Have not yet done it. So I don't have Maker's 46 currently. Sorry, my man. We'll make that happen. But right now, I do not want to taste it, frankly, next to that. Yuck. It's not bad on its own, though. That's the thing. That's why priming your palate is so important, because when I just drank the Starlight, I liked it. I thought it was good. It was interesting. But putting it up side by side against some of these others, no. The question that's kind of flooding the chat right now is the EC Toasted Barrel worth $50? I'd say no. If I'm being honest, if I'm being honest, Mike said the Maker's 46 cast strength was a little thin. Well, you know, not to shit on Maker's Mark, but that doesn't surprise me. I would say that the EC Toasted is probably worth 40. That's my opinion. Comparing it against the 1910, which I think Nate said it was a $60 whiskey. To me, the 1910 is worth a $50 value. This is a $50 whiskey in my mind. And so if this is $50, EC Toasted is 40. But market has priced this at 60. Market has priced this at 50. So what are you going to do? Let's go ahead and rinse this glass out, and we're going to jump to the third and final distillery of the night. Woodford Double Oaked for me, Nate. I've seen it between 40 and 55, depending on where I'm at. You best believe where I saw it for 40, I bought it. Matt, I love it, my man. You've been sticking around. All right, we'll do it. Oh, I see. Nate meant my price point. For Woodford Double Oaked, 55? I think I like it better than 1910. This is not Glenmorangie Signet. That's not what's in this. My good friends up at Vine and Table, and my good friend and patron, Matt Gap, worked together to make a really interesting product here. This is a blend of 4 different whiskeys. Now, very recently, local distiller, Krogman's, owned by same people that, or one of the people, or some of the people that run Big Red Liquors, they decided to do a series of 10 different whiskeys to highlight each of the well-known, I shouldn't say well-known, because you can do custom blends from MGP, which is the Indiana Distiller in Lawrenceburg, used to be Seagram's Distillery. Now it's MGP, one of the biggest providers of sourced whiskey in the world. They have 10 mash bills that are sort of part of their standard lineup, and Krogman's decided to do a series of whiskeys where they would take relatively young 2 to 4 year presentations of each of those 10 mash bills and bottle them all separately. The first 4 that they did of that lineup are included in here. Now, I wish I could tell you off the top of my head what the mash bills were in those 4. Maybe Matt, while I'm pouring this and talking about it, can do some quick research and figure out what those 4 barrels were. I know that the Tater Bait, which is the name, and I should preface this, all of them were sort of named after things you see on the whiskey secondary market. They were sort of cheeky, points referencing these terms that you see on the secondary market. So one of them was called, for example, wax dips. This is sort of a common practice where you'll see somebody take a rare bottle like a Four Roses, and then they'll dip it in wax to have sort of a special edition. And it's like, ooh, this one's been dipped in wax. Maybe they'll pay more for it on the secondary market. They'll throw a sticker on it. That happens a lot. Tater bait, which is a great term. I love the term tater bait. I am a huge tater sometimes. Weller and Blanton's. Blanton's got me until I got all the ponies. I got all the ponies now, so I'm not fucking buying Blanton's. Yeah, that kind of thing. When you buy a bottle of whiskey to get the letter of the horse on top of it, That's some tater shit right there. I know that won't mean anything to some of you, but whatever. Anyway, Tater Bait I know was a 36% rye bourbon. So it was a high rye mash bill bourbon whiskey. That's one of the 4 in this bottle. I know that Wax Dips was also in this bottle, but I don't remember what the mash bill was. I think Buy It Now is also in this. I have it listed somewhere, but I don't know if I lost it or if I just... Okay, here we go. Matt was kind enough to provide a list. So the blend is Tater Bait, Wax Dips, Max Profits, and Buy It Now. Max Profits is always sort of a thing people are shamed on the secondary market for, like trying to sell your buddy a bottle of Weller 12 at $200. That's Max Profits. And then Buy It Now is very common in the Facebook secondary whiskey markets, where if you see a bottle you want and you agree with the price that's posted for you, just say bin, B-I-N, Buy It Now. And then it's yours. It's a very weird world, the bourbon secondary market. Yeah, Trevor's giving me shit. I tated hard for the O in Blanton's. Josh says, your mash bills, where all of them? Your mash bills, where all of them? I'm not sure what Josh means in that chat. Oh, okay. Thanks, Josh. Yeah. So all the mash bills are included in that series, but this particular bottle that Matt and Vine Table put together just has the first 4. It just has a blend of Tater Bait, Wax Dips, Max Profits, and Buy It Now. And like I said, I don't remember off the top of my head what those mash bills were, but you know what? I could probably find it out. I could probably find out pretty quickly. We're losing viewers. I like announcing when I'm losing viewers just to make it clear that I'm going to keep doing the same shit anyway. Sorry. You don't like it? You don't have to watch. I really am glad that you guys are watching. You know, people want to, people can do what they want. Free country. Beauty of America. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go to the Krogman's website. I bet they'll have all the bottles there. Yeah, they do. Okay. So let me see that label here. So I already told you correctly that the Tater Bait bottle is the high rye mash bill. It's a 36% rye. Oh, I don't like this, Krogman's. Why don't you have the specifics on your website? That makes me sad. Wax Dips. Wax Dips is 51% corn, 45% wheat, and 4% barley. So we have the 36% rye, high rye mash bill bourbon. We've got the almost entirely wheat and corn, high percentage corn, 51% corn, so it's a bourbon, but very high wheat mash bill and 4% barley. Then we've got the Max Profits, which is 95% rye, 5% barley, almost all rye. And then we've got Buy It Now, and Buy It Now is 51% rye, 49% barley. So that's cool. So this is a blend of 4 equal parts. It's got 1/4 of it is a just technically rye, 51% rye, 49% barley. Very, very close. The other quarter is almost entirely rye. Then another quarter is just technically bourbon with almost entirely wheat to back it up. And the other part is almost entirely bourbon, or is just barely bourbon with almost entirely rye to back it up. So it's going to be relatively rye heavy with a hint of wheat and a hint of barley and a pretty average corn. I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you, man. I'm glad you like the humor and the info. That's honestly what I'm here for. I try to be kind of funny, but I also try to be informative. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels kind of do one or the other. I don't like that. If you can be funny, that's fine. Do you, man? But I like giving people more information. I like giving you mash bills of what's going into a crazy blend that one of my friends has given me. That's fun. I like that. And then talking about why. Because the flavors, I'm telling you, I tasted this before, but I'm going to do it again on camera. This is better than some of its parts. Just do it a wee nip. A wee dram. 1/8 of an ounce is a dram. This is more than 1/8 of an ounce, but it'll be okay. So, smells young. Smells like a rye that's coming out of MGP, but it's subtle because it's, 2 of the 4 are rye, but the third bourbon is a high rye mash bill. So there's going to be, I would say, I haven't mathed it, but it's going to be predominantly corn, but there's going to be a pretty high concentration of rye in this. It's going to be an incredibly high rye mash bill. And, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of MGP ryes. They don't really do it for me. It's hard to explain why. There's a relatively minty component on the nose that's like, I'm like, take it or leave it on. But because of the high component of corn in this, and maybe because of some of that wheat that's also showing up, and the barley, this is sweeter. It's broader. It's like, it tells you it's a rye, and then you get this underlying. So right off the bat, let's just stick with the system. System works, let's stick with it. First thing you smell, you get this mintiness. You get, obvious, like, I always mix it up, spearmint and peppermint. The difference essentially on the nose between spearmint and peppermint is the sharpness. One is sharper than the other. And I always forget which is which. The less sharp one, that's what you get on the nose here. So mint, maybe a touch of anise or licorice, just a touch. A little bit of clove. Definitely living in that aromatic spice world. But that sweetness is undeniable. There's definitely vanilla. There's definitely honey. You know there is bourbon in this, for sure. I actually get a little floral note. I get a little geranium in this. That one's for you, Nate. Nate hates it when I use geranium as a note. But I'm telling you, if you've ever smelled like slightly minty floral, that's geranium. Josh. Nate's so mad. I love it. Yolanda's worried about Nate. She thinks he's coming for me. All right. I get a little bit of apple. You know what? I get a little bit of coconut out of this. That's a note I really rarely get, but I get a little bit of coconut out of this. Like, you ever smell, what is that? What's the coconut rum? Somebody help me out. The coconut rum that everybody knows. Malibu. Smells like Malibu. Just touch. Josh knew it. Names are hard, I can barely keep track of my own name some days. Hey, you works really well. I've used that many a time. Most of the things that I've tasted and smelled tonight, I have not gotten a lot of woody notes or nutty notes. I haven't had pecan or walnut or almond or Brazil nut or any of that. Cashew, none of it. This has a little bit of like pine, but I think part of it's because most of what I've been tasting is relatively young, and you're not going to get those notes from young whiskey. The double oaks are the older things that I've been tasting, and the double oaks, because of how they're doing that aging, you're not going to get into that nutty, woody side. That is where you end up when you spend a lot of time in a barrel and you get past that initial charred surface. The double oaks intentionally go back to that. So you're not going to get those nutty notes. I might pour a Booker's just for shits and giggles, just because I want that nutty note. I haven't had it yet tonight. What am I even smelling? Oh, this is the blend. It's very rye. It's young, it's rye. I mean, it is what I know it's going to be. That's right, Josh. I love the nut. Sometimes you got to just go for the nuts. Okay, let's taste this stuff. See, it's such a cool taste. It's such a cool taste because so this is a blend of 4 different whiskeys that are different mash bills, all similar ages. But what ends up happening is in your mouth, you can separate out the different whiskeys, and that's so cool. So right off the bat, the first thing you taste is that rye spice, and then it quickly dissipates, and it comes back with this just beautiful young bourbon standardized thing. Trevor says I'm more of a flower guy than a nut guy. I don't know. I like them both. I'm definitely a fruit guy. If you really want to throw the joke out there, I'm big fruit. Yeah. Fruits and nuts, baby. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to me that like these they feel separate in some ways because it's like it starts rye, then it becomes classic bourbon, then you get a little bit of that wheat grain because it's not old enough wheated whiskey to dissipate and just become smooth. Because typically when you get a wheated whiskey, that's intentionally avoiding rye spice. It's done to mellow out the flavors. But because it's so young, you actually taste the grain. So it goes rye spice, classic young bourbon. Think corn whiskey if you're not used to younger bourbons because it kind of gives you that same vibe. Then it comes in with this interesting grain wheat mid-palate flavor. And then the finish is beautiful. And I got to tell you, this blend that Matt and Vine and Table put together is a beautiful finish, beautiful presentation of these different flavors. But because of the finish, it stands up. That's why this is so much better than any of these others combined. Because it's long finish, slightly nutty. First time I've called out that flavor. It's slight though. It's subtle. You get a lot more oak than you would expect on that finish. That's just cool. That's just cool stuff. Big shout out to Matt for giving me that blend. That was very generous of you, sir. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I've been doing this for almost 2 hours. I think I'm going to go right to 2. I'm going to give you 2 more samples here, and then we're going to call it a night. The first one, we're going now to Hotel Tango, probably the first craft distillery I was aware of in Indiana. There may have been others, but it was the first one I knew about. I actually live about a minute away from Hotel Tango. So if you want to meet at Hotel Tango for a cocktail, hit me up. But they're new distiller. And you know what? I can speak frankly with you guys. we've done several different events with. I don't want to throw. I don't want to bring anybody else into my opinion on this. I've been in several different organizations that have done several different tastings with others. I've tried a lot of different whiskeys from a lot of different distilleries. I was not super impressed with Hotel Tango. And I want to be clear, I don't think that's because their whiskey isn't good. I think it's because their priority is not bourbon. The master distiller said in no uncertain terms he does not like working with corn, and he's very interested in single malt whiskeys, which is fine. With single malt whiskeys are very good. There are a lot of single malt whiskeys, particularly some American single malts coming out of Oregon and Washington State that are fantastic. But if you're thinking about bourbon, which is what you're going to find at Hotel Tango today, if you go to Hotel Tango today and you want whiskey, you're going to find the Reserve 2-year and the Reserve 6-year, 7-year. I don't remember the age statement on it. Both of those are sourced, and they're not interested in making their own bourbon. So I have feelings about that. And Josh correctly points out, Hotel Tango makes a good Manhattan. They make great cocktails, no question. And they understand how to make great flavors in their whiskeys. I just was a little disappointed that they weren't pushing the bourbon harder. They're kind of downplaying bourbon as part of their brand and part of their model. Whereas West Fork, for example, is all in on bourbon and rye. Yeah, Josh. I will tell you, Josh, and you know, I was debating about which one to do, but I think Josh just kind of swayed my opinion on this. I've got 4 different whiskeys here. I'm just not doing ryes. I'm not in the mood for ryes, so fuck it. I'm just gonna leave the ryes in the box. I've got the Hotel Tango 2-year, which is their standard bourbon. This is again sourced, but I've also got their reserve bourbon, again sourced, but I believe this is 6 or 7-year. Because I'm doing these neat, and as Josh pointed out, that 2-year is not very good neat, I'm going to go ahead and do this reserve bourbon. And then the last pour of the night, I've got a real treat for you guys. Well, it's a weird one, but it's a treat because it's weird. Okie dokie. Now, I really like this reserve bourbon. This 6-year bourbon is really good. It's MGP, I believe. Not certain. But I get a lot of wonderful sweet aromatics out of this. Very, very caramel vanilla. I just like the smell of it. Yeah, we might be able to make that happen, Josh. I got to clean out some of these sample glasses. I just did a serious, Trevor and Nate and I just did a serious sample trade. So Trevor and Nate are both in a nearby state, and we met them at a gas station parking lot. It was the shadiest thing I've done in a while. But we traded bottles, we traded samples, we purchased some shit. It was quite a day, but that used up pretty much. Yeah, it did, Josh. Matter of fact, Josh, we thought a cop was going to come, say something to us because I had parked really shittily. So the gas station, the parking lot was completely full, and it was a big parking lot. But I parked like an asshole, blocking both of them in because I knew they weren't going anywhere. Well, a state trooper or a sheriff or somebody pulled up next to me and just watched us the whole time. And so we were a little worried because it was like, well, we're, passing bottles around pretty liberally here. We're not drinking much, but like it still didn't look good. Anyway, okay, let's give this a taste. That's a good whiskey. It wasn't meth. That's true, Nate. It means mad at Cody Flynn's Best Buy. You got the shit. Okay. That's right. Okay, it's relatively grain forward, but like I like it a lot. Finally, some nuttiness. 6-year, 7-year whiskey, the walnuts show up. That's very slight bitterness, but it's a nuttiness. Good question, Nate. When I say grain forward, I mean that. Let me just taste it. And I can maybe offer some more explanation. So to me, grain forward is sort of like cream of wheat with nothing added to it. It tastes like a grain. It's not bready because bread has this sort of these are hard words. Maybe. Yeah, Josh said grittiness, kind of. Bran flakes. Let me see if I can think of a comparison, like for this particular one. I get a pumpernickel crouton. How about that? How's that for a note? Nate said, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, that's worse than geranium. Yeah, it's a pumpernickel crouton. Now, you may ask, why the fuck is that my note? Well, let me give you a little bit of background. So, I grew up eating a lot of salads at the beginning of meals. That's a good call, Josh. Yeah, they have them at the Outback. That's absolutely true. There are several restaurants that do croutons of different types of bread, sourdough, pumpernickel, what have you. But I hated the pumpernickel croutons for a long time, and then I suddenly turned on them. And so, like, that's in my mind that I hated them, and then suddenly I really liked them. That switch kind of makes it stand out. But that's the memory that this flavor goes back to. But I guess let me try to generally answer your question, Nate. Like grain. When I say grain forward, I'm talking about a bright flavor. First off, that's very reminiscent of a particular grain. It can be corn, it can be wheat, it can be malted barley, but it's very sharp and prominent, bright and prominent, and it generally is a little bit bitter. So it's got sort of 3 different components in my mind. It's got that brightness, that slight bitterness, and then the flavor is grain. You take all 3 of those components, and that's what I mean when I say grain forward, generally, typically. If I mean something different, I usually go into a deeper analysis. I say, well, I taste grain, but it's not bright, it's more muddled, or I'll say, oh, I taste grain, but I don't get that bitterness, something like that. Josh is totally right. Grain is open to interpretation. And part of this is all open to interpretation. Part of the problem with flavors is they're subjective. It makes this kind of thing difficult to do. And one of the things I really strongly advocate is if you listen to YouTubers, whiskey people or drink people or whomever, find people who you agree with their tasting notes. Or you can find them at the very least. You don't have to always say like, yes, I like that. But if they say like, oh, tastes like fruit and I love it, which is what I'm going to say, and you go, oh, I don't really care for fruity whiskeys, but I see what he's saying. This does have a lot of fruitiness. That's great. That means you have similar palates. Or let me give you a different example. So I know for a fact that I have a different palate from Trevor, who's a friend of the show. He's a patron, good guy. But we have different palates. But because of that, when we know each other's palates, I can say, oh, this is something Trevor would like. And I can point to something else and go like, oh, he wouldn't like this. And he can do the same with me. So pay attention to the palate. Nate says, so it isn't sweetness. No, it's not sweetness. I think that there are whiskeys that are very sweet that aren't grain forward. There are some whiskeys that are grain forward and very sweet. This particular 6-year reserve bourbon, it's a little bit sweet, but it's almost a rye spice, honestly. That kind of is pervasive. All right. Let's do one more. One more. Cherry. You might say, Kyle, what the fuck are you doing? This is a whiskey review. This is a whiskey channel. Well, first off, it's not actually a whiskey channel. I do reviews of all different kinds of drinks, coffees, cocktails, spirits. This is just a shout out some of the other things I do. I do prefer whiskey. It's my go-to, but this is a cherry liqueur. And one of the things that I find so interesting about it is that it's actually a whiskey. So it's a young whiskey that's then soaked in real cherries. It's not flavored. There's nothing added to it. It's soaked in real cherries. It smells delicious. It smells like cherry juice. Tastes like straight up cherry juice. If I was going to buy anything from Hotel Tango, I would buy this and make a cocktail with it. Matter of fact, you add a 1/4 ounce of this to your old fashioned, it's going to wake it up. You add a 1/4 ounce of that to your Manhattan, it's going to wake it up. You know what, Josh? It's not super sweet. It does not taste like it's got any sugar in it. It doesn't have that liqueur super sweetness. It tastes like real proper cherries. It's a cherry flavor. Yeah, exactly, Josh. It'd be great in a Manhattan. It's not cherry sweet. It's just cherry flavor. I don't usually go for stuff like that, but this is just fantastic. So, God, I could drink that all day. That's just dangerous. All right, guys, I got to run. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody being here. Thanks for sticking around. If you want to buy glasses, hit me up, thedrinkpro@gmail.com, patreon.com/thedrinkpro to support me. Check me out anywhere. St. Elmo's would be a good cocktail, but if they add some other stuff, I got to run, though. Cheers, everybody. Keep drinking like professionals.